Hello everyone, welcome to the England Hockey League preview podcast for week 4. I'm Andy Day, your host. Later on in the interview segment, we'll be heading to the northwest and the southeast, but where? As ever, let's start with a look at the Women's Premier fixtures for Saturday the 12th of October. Starting us off at 1:30, it's Wimbledon-Bowdon. 2 o'clock for Loughborough Students, Hampstead and Westminster. 2 o'clock also for Reading, Sutton Coldfield. And also University of Nottingham and Clifton Robinsons. 2 matches at 4 o'clock, East Grinstead Surbiton and Holcombe University of Birmingham. A great mixture this week with plenty on offer wherever you look. Certainly the game with the most eyes on it will be the match at St Hill as 100% East Grinstead play Surbiton, who themselves are fresh from a single goal defeat last weekend against Wimbledon. This meeting between the two most recent champion teams is mouth-watering. Both East Grinstead and Surbiton have scored 9 goals and conceded 3 in their first 3 league games, so goals should be expected. Staying at the top end of the table, leading the way after 3 rounds are Reading, and they're at home against bottom team Sutton Coldfield, who are hunting for their first points of the season after a tough start. Reading have the tightest defence in the league, only conceding 1, and have scored the most goals, 11. The teams in 10th and 11th meet at Nottingham Hockey Centre. 10th place University of Nottingham are at home against winless Clifton Robinsons in 11th. A win for either side on Saturday could reinvigorate their seasons. Past meetings have seen plenty of goals, are more to come this weekend. Holcombe versus University of Birmingham looks like an interesting fixture. Holcombe winning 2 and losing 1 so far, and University of Birmingham scoring 8 on the opening day, but have lost the next 2, conceding 6 against Reading. Holcombe hoping to bounce back after defeat last time out. Loughborough Students, who've won, lost and drawn this season, welcome Hampstead and Westminster and are looking for their first win over their visitors since 2020. Hampstead and Westminster start the weekend in 4th place and are well placed going into round 4 after home wins over University of Birmingham and Holcombe. Finally, Bowdon travel to Wimbledon. Both teams enter the game after maiden wins last weekend, both away. Bowdon securing 3 points at Clifton Robinsons and Wimbledon taking the maximum with the eye-catching 2-1 win at Surbiton. These teams played twice last season, a draw in the league phase and a Wimbledon win in the league finals phase. Which team will prevail on Saturday? And later on we'll be talking to Nick Clark, Bowdon's Women's Ones coach. Women's top goal scorer is Bieber Mills of East Grinstead on 4, ahead of a clutch of 6 other players on 3. And now the men's Premier Division fixtures in time order. At 5:15, Wimbledon Southgate. 6 o'clock for Beeston Oxted and Cardiff and Met Surbiton. 6 o'clock also for East Grinstead Richmond. And 6:30 for Bowdon Hampstead and Westminster and Holcombe Old Georgians. The men's game of the weekend is the late fixture in the doubleheader at Holcombe Park, where the 2 teams with 3 wins in 3 will meet. The champions are in supreme goal-scoring form, averaging over 8 goals scored a game. Holcombe have picked up very notable wins on the road against Cardiff and Hampstead and Westminster, as well as an opening day win against Wimbledon. This is box office. A win for Holcombe would really set down a marker, and a win for Old Georgians will put them clear at the top. Richmond are on the road, heading to East Grinstead, another doubleheader of games at St Hill. Richmond are seeking their opening points of the season against a side that managed the same last week away at Bowdon. I can expect a committed but tight match. It's been a bad start to the season for those at Southgate who are still to get off the mark. They're playing at Wimbledon, another doubleheader to enjoy, who are recovering from their exertions and a different type of disappointment, just losing out to Surbiton 3-2 on Sunday for a spot in the EHL KO8. 2 teams with a point to prove in this fixture. Cardiff and Met led last week but were beaten at Beeston. On Saturday they take on a Surbiton side that have won all 4 fixtures in all competitions this season. Cardiff and Met have made Sophia Gardens an increasingly tricky place for teams, but have yet to record a home win in the Premier Division. Surbiton will be surely keen to keep their winning run going. I think the first goal here will be very important. Finally, to Beeston and Oxted. An early season meeting of 2 clubs with ideals of the top 6. The Bees again grateful for the goals of Henry Croft last weekend. Oxted and Beeston both with 2 wins in 2, and Oxted looking good in front of goal. This one could be a cracker. Sam Ward is now 3 clear of second place in the sharpshooters table with 8 in 3 games. Don't forget to visit England Hockey's socials for full listings of games and details of where games are being streamed. It's interview time. Later, we'll meet Nick Giles, Oxford's men's ones coach. But first, Nick Clark, coach of Bowden's women's first team. Well, after 2 narrow defeats, how does it feel to get a win on the board?
Yes, good question. A little bit of relief, to be honest, from both coaching staff and players. Just to put it into context, I think it was a close, as you say, as you hint there, we had 2 very close games against Nottingham and Holcombe, and probably thought our performance improved from week 1 to week 2. And we're really disappointed not to get something from the Holcombe game, very close game. So going down to Clifton, we knew it was going to be tough. But we're probably really pleased we came out with a win, particularly in the last quarter. So really pleased.
And there's a trip to Wimbledon on Saturday. Have you been able to assess your opponents?
Well, oddly enough, just before the podcast here, I've been watching the Wimbledon game from last weekend. We also able to obviously access the video from Wimbledon's first game at Holcombe as well. So yes, just getting to terms with how they play and what they do, and they look as if they're improving week by week as well. So we're looking forward to it, but we know it will be a big challenge.
Looks like a very good game in prospect. Every summer sees players come and go. What's it been like over the summer for Bowden?
Yeah, we've had quite a busy time, really. We lost a few players due to moving to university and retirement. But we've managed to gain quite a few players, probably 7 or 8 new players from various clubs. And to be honest, we haven't really gone out and recruited. People have probably come to us, so excluded a number. Alex Lukin has come from New Zealand, and she played for the club 3 or 4 years ago, so she's making a return. Kirsty Mackay, goalkeeper. Although she's still playing a little bit, Ella Jackson has come in as first team goalkeeper from Swansea. We have Eve Pearson, who's currently playing for Scotland. Rebecca Birch, who will be playing against her sister at Wimbledon on Saturday, has come from Ben Ridding. We have a trio of players who've joined us from Brooklands: Tor Hughes, Jen Park, Annie Mills. And we have Freya Bellamy, who's come from Exeter University. So we've had a big influx of players this summer.
Looking ahead to the game that you're highlighting in the calendar, it's the double-header against Surbiton on the 9th of November. What can we expect that day? And what's it like to get in at Bowden?
What's it like? It should be. Yeah, it's very easy. Access is on the gate. Small fee for watching the game. There'll be normally the kind of big pizza oven going, welcoming people. The bar's open. It's welcome for both adults and children. Children go on the pitch after the game, can have a knock around. So it's a great family occasion, really. And obviously, it is the one doubleheader we have with our men's team before Christmas. So hopefully, it'll be an exciting evening.
Also, before we go, Nick, I think it would be remiss if we don't touch in with one of your players who's currently under the spotlight.
Yes. Yeah, Sam played probably about half our games last year, made an excellent contribution in our first season back in the Prem. But obviously she's got some reasonable commitments on Strictly. And she still keeps a close connection, wishing us the best before matches. And there's a big support for her to do well in her endeavours as well. So it's great to still have that connection with Bowden players.
Thank you very much, Nick Clark, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's time now to speak with Nick Giles, who's in charge of Oxford's men's first team. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Andy. Thank you for having me on.
Let's get into it. 2 wins from 3 from the start of the season. Happy with that?
Yeah, pretty happy. Tough season opener for us. Surbiton was first up. Of course, I would always love to take a little bit more from the game or take points out of a game, but I think we were wanting to make sure that we were competitive and that we perform well. And even for the games that we've won since then, I think the main thing has been based around our performance. And of course, for me as a coach, I'm probably the person that needs to be concerned the most with the winning and losing. But for the players, it's about actually how they go on and perform on a match day and at training. And I feel like we've got a good balance to that at the moment. So yeah, overall, I'd say a fairly happy camp at the moment. I'm fairly happy with the start that we've made.
And of course, looking to continue that with your trip to Beeston on Saturday.
Yeah, of course. I think we are very well aware it's probably two very evenly matched teams who have both made good starts. We know that Beeston have, of course, made a good start as well. Had a good draw under their belt as well. And really, they've played 3 games, but really they've played 4 when they were at had Richmond and were 3-0 up after 3/4 time. So they've probably got a little bit more match fitness maybe under the belt, but I don't know whether that double header they had the following weekend, I'm not sure if that helps them or not, or fatigues them a little bit. But obviously 2 teams that have made a reasonably good start, so hopefully it'll be a pretty good matchup of a game.
For those listeners who aren't quite as familiar with the Oxted squad, are there any standout characters in that matchday squad?
Where to start? There's so many. But I guess one of the nice stories about Oxted and something that we value an awful lot is bringing lads, younger players, and bringing them through. Now, sometimes it might be that they join from other clubs that have done some unbelievable work with them. And then they're just trying to access a higher playing level. But, the weekend just gone, we had 3 16-year-olds playing in the Premier League. And I don't know how many clubs have done that previously, but that's something we really pride ourselves on is in the training environment. Yeah, of course, there's those 3 that get picked in a matchday squad. But beyond that, there's another 3 or 4 juniors of a similar age that are knocking on the door of being selected for the first team. And I think that's something that we have really, really prided ourselves on. Lots of characters, that's for sure, but those boys are made to feel so welcome by the rest of the lads and able to ultimately perform at the highest level as young players when confidence is so important to them. And I feel like the rest of the team just have such a good handle on allowing those boys to come through, express themselves, but not have the expectations that they're going to know it all straight away. And I think the environment that the club create to allow them to be expressive but stick to the game plan has been a real strength.
Looking at that team in detail, 10 goals this season, 7 different goal scorers. Is that a surprise for you or something you were expecting?
I think it's something that as a team that we are trying to make sure that we're not so selfish in moments and making sure that we are selfless. And no doubt, I'm sure there would have been a couple of moments in the games that we've had so far where a couple of the lads would have notched 1 or 2 more to their own individual tally, but have chosen to pass in those moments and giving it to somebody else. And I think that is something whereby in years gone by that we probably have had a little bit more selfishness. And I think there's a time and place, of course, for having somebody that's ruthless in the circle, and ultimately you're going to be judged in a game of what happens in both circles. So having that in some of the tight games is very important, but I don't think it's a surprise to us as a team that we have multiple people chipping in. I know our captain on the season opener, who plays across the back line, was getting himself amongst it and scored against Surbiton as well. So I just think, hockey's such a fluid and fast-paced game that it can be anybody popping up in those moments. So I'd say probably not a surprise, hopefully more by design than anything else, the stuff that we're trying to work on. Hopefully a few people add to theirs, and maybe a couple more people will chip in with their odd 1 or 2 goals of the season, we hope.
Nick Giles, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Many thanks to Nick and Nick. Into the second week of October already and the fourth round of fixtures. Head out there and get to a game this weekend. I've been your host, Andy Day. Join me again next week if my voice holds out for your essential quick guide to the upcoming fixtures.